Cloudtts. Walking in the Footsteps of the Buddha. Author Thich Nhat Hanh. Book 3. Chapter 65. Neither full nor empty. After the Dharma talk, Venerable Svasti noticed how pensive many of the monks looked. He also felt that he had not grasped what the Buddha taught. He resolved to listen carefully to the elder disciples during their Dharma discussions. At the next Dharma talk, Venerable Ananda was asked by the monks to ask questions to the Buddha in front of the entire assembly. His first question was, "Lord, what is meant by the world and the dharmas?" The Buddha said, "Ananda, the world, loka, is the collective whole of all things subject to change and dissolution. All dharmas are contained in the 18 realms, the 6 sense organs, the 6 sense objects, and the 6 sense consciousnesses. The 6 sense organs, as you know, are eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. The 6 sense objects are form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and objects of mind. The 6 sense consciousnesses are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and perceiving. There are no dharmas apart from the 18 realms. All 18 realms are subject to birth and death, to change and dissolution. That is why I have said that the world is the collective whole of all things which possess the nature of change and dissolution." Ananda then asked, "Lord, you have often said that all dharmas are empty. What is meant by that?" The Buddha said, "Ananda, I have said that all dharmas are empty because all dharmas are without a separate self. None of the 6 sense organs, 6 sense objects, or 6 sense consciousnesses possess a separate, individual self." Ananda said, "Lord, you have said that the 3 gates of liberation are emptiness, signlessness, and aimlessness. You have said that all dharmas are empty. Is it because all dharmas are subject to change and dissolution that they are also empty?" "Ananda, I have spoken often about emptiness and the contemplation on emptiness. The contemplation on emptiness is a wondrous meditation which can help people transcend suffering, birth, and death. Today I will speak more on this contemplation. Ananda, we are all sitting together in the Dharma hall. There are no markets, buffaloes, or villages inside the Dharma hall. There are only bhikkhus sitting and listening to the Dharma. We can say that the hall is empty of all that is not here, and that it contains what is actually here. The Dharma hall is empty of markets, buffaloes, and villages, but contains bhikkhus. Do you agree that that is correct?" "Yes, Lord." After the Dharma talk, we will all leave the Dharma hall and there will no longer be any bhikkhus here. At that moment, the Dharma hall will be empty of markets, buffaloes, villages, and bhikkhus. Do you agree that that is so?" "Yes, Lord, at that moment the Dharma hall will be empty of all those things." Ananda, full always means full of something, and empty always means empty of something. The words full and empty have no meaning on their own. Please, Lord, could you explain that more? Consider this: empty is always empty of something, such as empty of markets, buffaloes, villages, and bickers. We cannot say that emptiness is something which exists independently. Fullness is the same. Full is always full of something, such as full of markets, buffaloes, villages, or bickers. Fullness is not something which exists independently. At the present moment, we can say that the Dharma hall is empty of markets, buffaloes, and villages. As for all dharmas, if we say that all dharmas are full, what are they full of? If we say that all dharmas are empty, what are they empty of? Because the emptiness of all dharmas refers to the fact that all dharmas are empty of a permanent and unchanging self. That is the meaning of the emptiness of all dharmas. You know that all dharmas are subject to change and dissolution. Because of that, they cannot be said to possess a separate, independent self. Because empty means empty of self. Because there is no aggregate among the 5 aggregates that possesses a permanent, unchanging nature. All the aggregates of body, feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness are without a separate self. They do not possess a permanent and unchanging nature. A permanent and unchanging nature would be an essential self. Contemplating in order to see the absence of such an independent, separate self is contemplating emptiness. Ananda said, all dharmas are without a self. This we understand. But then, Lord, do the dharmas actually exist? The Buddha quietly looked down at the small table before him on which was placed a bowl of water. He pointed to the bowl and asked Ananda, Ananda, would you say this bowl is full or empty? Lord, the bowl is full of water. Ananda, take this bowl outside and empty all the water out of it. Venerable Ananda did as the Buddha instructed. When he returned, he placed the empty bowl back on the table. The Buddha lifted the bowl and turned it upside down. He asked, Ananda, is this bowl now full or empty? Lord, it is no longer full. It is empty. Ananda, are you sure the bowl is empty? Yes, Lord, I am sure the bowl is empty. Ananda, this bowl is no longer full of water, but it is full of air. You have forgotten already. Empty means empty of something, and full means full of something. In this case, the bowl is empty of water, but full of air. I understand now. Good. Ananda, this bowl can be either empty or full. Of course, whether there is emptiness or fullness depends on the presence of the bowl. Without a bowl, there would be no emptiness or fullness. It is just like the Dharma hall. In order for it to be full or empty, it must first be there. Either Bhikkhu suddenly exclaimed with one voice. Venerable Ananda joined his palms. Lord, then the dharmas do exist. The dharmas are real. The Buddha smiled. Ananda, don't be caught by words. If the dharmas are phenomena empty of self, their existence is not the existence of ordinary perception. Their existence has the same meaning as the emptiness. Ananda joined his palms. Please, Lord, can you explain that further? Ananda, we have spoken about an empty and a full bowl. We have also spoken about an empty and a full Dharma hall. I have briefly spoken about emptiness. Let me speak more about fullness. Although we have agreed that the bowl on the table is empty of water, if we look deeply, we will see that is not entirely true. The Buddha lifted the bowl and then looked at Ananda. Ananda, among the interwoven elements that have given rise to the bowl, do you see water? Yes, Lord. Without water, the potter would not have been able to mix the clay he used to fashion the bowl. Just so, Ananda. Looking deeply, we can see the presence of water in the bowl, even though we earlier stated that it is empty of water. The presence of the bowl depends on the presence of water. Ananda, can you see the fire element in this bowl? Yes, Lord. Fire was necessary to complete the bowl. Looking deeply, I can see the presence of heat and fire in the bowl. What else can you see? I see the air. Without air, the fire could not have burned and the potter could not have lived. I see the potter and his skillful hands. I see his consciousness. I see the kiln and the wood stacked in the kiln. I see the trees the wood came from. I see the rain, sun, and earth which enabled the trees to grow. Lord, I can see thousands of interpenetrating elements which gave rise to this bowl. Excellent, Ananda! Contemplating the bowl, it is possible to see the interdependent elements which gave rise to the bowl. Ananda, these elements are present within and without the bowl. Your own awareness is one of the elements. If you took away heat and returned it to the sun, if you returned the clay to the earth and the water to the river, if you returned the potter to his parents and the wood to the forest trees, could the bowl still exist? Lord, the bowl could no longer exist. If you returned the interdependent elements which gave rise to the bowl to their sources, the bowl could no longer be present. Ananda, contemplating the law of dependent cause arising, we see that the bowl cannot exist independently. It can only exist in interdependent relation with all other dharmas. All dharmas depend on each other for birth, existence, and death. The presence of one dharma implies the presence of all other dharmas. The presence of all dharmas is implied by the presence of just one dharma. Ananda, this is the principle of interpenetration and interbeing. Ananda, interpenetration means that within this, that is, and within that, this is. For example, when we look at this bowl, we can see the potter, and when we look at the potter we can see the bowl. Interbeing means that this is that, and that is this. For example, waves are water, and water is waves. Ananda, at present there are no markets, buffaloes, or villages in the Dharma hall. But that is only from one viewpoint. In reality, without the presence of markets, buffaloes, and villages, this Dharma hall could not exist. Thus, Ananda, when you look at the empty Dharma hall, you should be able to see the presence of markets, buffaloes, and villages. Without this, that is not. The basic meaning of emptiness, sunyata, is this is because that is. The bhikkhus listened in perfect silence. The Buddha's words made a deep impression on them. After a brief pause, the Buddha lifted the empty bowl again and said, "Because this bowl cannot exist independently. It is here thanks to all the things we consider non-bowl entities such as earth, water, fire, air, potter, and so forth. It is the same for all dharmas. Every dharma exists in interdependent relation to all other dharmas. All dharmas exist by the principles of interpenetration and interbeing. Because, look deeply at this bowl, and you can see the entire universe. This bowl contains the entire universe. There is only one thing the bowl is empty of, and that is a separate, individual self. What is a separate, individual self? It is a self which exists completely on its own, independent of all other elements. No dharma can exist independently from other dharmas. No dharma possesses a separate, essential self. That is the meaning of emptiness. Empty means empty of self. Because the five aggregates are the basic elements of a person. Form does not contain a self, because form cannot exist independently. Within form exist feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. It is the same for feelings. Feelings do not possess a self because feelings cannot exist independently. Within feelings are form, perceptions, mental formations, and consciousness. The same is true for the other three aggregates. No aggregate possesses a separate identity. The five aggregates depend on each other in order to exist. Thus the five aggregates are all empty. Because the six sense organs, the six sense objects, and the six sense consciousnesses are all empty. Every sense organ, every sense object, and every sense consciousness depends on all other sense organs, sense objects, and sense consciousnesses in order to exist. No sense organ, sense object, or sense consciousness possesses an independent, separate nature. Because, let me repeat this so that it will be easy for you to remember. This is, therefore that is. All dharmas depend on each other in order to exist. Thus all dharmas are empty. Empty here means empty of an independent, separate self. Venerable Ananda said, "Lord, some Brahmana scholars and leaders of other religious sects claim that the monk Gautama teaches a nihilism. They say that you lead people to negate all of life. Do they misunderstand you because you say that all dharmas are empty?" The Buddha answered, "Ananda, the Brahmana scholars and leaders of other religious sects do not speak correctly about this. I have never taught the doctrine of a nihilism. I have never led others to deny life. Ananda, among false views, there are two which entangle people the most, views of being and views of non-being. The first view regards all things as having a separate and permanent self-nature. The second regards all things as illusions. If you are caught in either view, you cannot see the truth. Ananda, once Bhikkhu Kaccayana asked me, "Lord, what is false view and what is right view?" I answered that false view is to be caught in either the notion of being or the notion of non-being. When we see into the true nature of reality, we are no longer bound by either of these views. A person with right view understands the process of birth and death in all dharmas. Because of that, he is not disturbed by thoughts of existence or non-existence. When suffering arises, the person with right view knows that suffering is arising. When suffering fades, the person with right view knows that suffering is fading. The arising and fading of all dharmas does not disturb the person with right view. The two false views of permanence and illusion are too extreme. Dependent co-arising transcends both extremes and dwells in the middle. Ananda, being and non-being are concepts which do not accord with reality. Reality transcends the boundaries of such concepts. An enlightened person is one who has transcended the concepts of being and non-being. Ananda, not only are being and non-being empty, but birth and death are also empty. They are also merely concepts. Venerable Ananda asked, "Lord, if birth and death are empty, why have you often said that all dharmas are impermanent, constantly being born and dying?" Ananda, at the relative, conceptual level, we speak of dharmas being born and passing away. But from the point of view of the Absolute, all dharmas are by nature birthless and deathless. Please, Lord, explain this. Ananda, take the example of the Bodhi tree you planted in front of the Dharma hall. When was it born? Lord, it was born 4 years ago at the very moment the seed put forth roots. Ananda, before that did the Bodhi tree exist? No, Lord, before that there was no Bodhi tree. Do you mean to say that the Bodhi tree arose from nothing? Can any Dharma come into being from nothing? Venerable Ananda fell silent. The Buddha continued, Ananda, there is no Dharma in all the universe which can come into being from nothing. Without the seed there could be no Bodhi tree. The Bodhi tree owes its existence to the seed. The tree is the continuation of the seed. Before the seed penetrated roots into the earth, the Bodhi tree was already present in the seed. If a Dharma is already present, how can it be born? The Bodhi tree's nature is without birth. The Buddha asked Ananda, after the seed penetrated roots into the earth, did the seed die? Yes, Lord, the seed died in order to give birth to the tree. Ananda, the seed did not die. To die means to pass from existence to non-existence. Is there any Dharma in all the universe which can pass from existence to non-existence? A leaf, a mote of dust, a trail of incense smoke, none of these can pass from existence to non-existence. All these dharmas transform into different dharmas, that is all. The Bodhi seed is the same. The seed did not die. It transformed into a tree. The seed and the tree are both birthless and deathless. Ananda, the seed and the tree, you, me, the bhikkhus, the Dharma hall, the leaf, a dust mote, a trail of incense smoke, all are without birth and death. Ananda, all dharmas are without birth and death. Birth and death are only mental concepts. All dharmas are neither full nor empty, neither created nor destroyed, neither defiled nor immaculate, neither increasing nor decreasing, neither coming nor going, neither one nor many. All these are merely concepts. Thanks to the contemplation on the empty nature of all dharmas, it is possible to transcend all discriminating concepts in order to realize the true nature of all things. Ananda, the true nature of all things is that there is neither full nor empty, birth nor death, becoming nor dissolving. It is based on that true nature that the world of birth and death, fullness and emptiness, becoming and dissolving arises. If not, how could there be a way out of birth and death, fullness and emptiness, becoming and dissolving? Ananda, have you ever stood on the seashore and watched the waves rise and fall on the surface of the sea? Birthlessness and deathlessness are like the water. Birth and death are like the waves. Ananda, there are long waves and short waves, high waves and low waves. Waves rise and fall, but the water remains. Without water, there could be no waves. The waves return to water. Waves are water, water is waves. Though the waves may rise and pass away, if they understand that they themselves are the water, they will transcend notions of birth and death. They will not worry, fear, or suffer because of birth and death. Because the contemplation on the empty nature of all dharmas is wondrous. It leads to liberation from all fear, worry, and suffering. It will help you transcend the world of birth and death. Practice this contemplation with all your being. The Buddha was finished speaking. Venerable Svasti had never heard the Buddha speak more profoundly or wondrously. The eyes and smiles of the Buddha's senior disciples radiated happiness. Svasti felt he understood the Buddha's words, but had not penetrated their deepest meaning. He knew that Ananda would repeat the entire Dharma talk in the coming days. He would then have an opportunity to learn more by listening to the senior disciples discuss what the Buddha had said. Chapter 66. For mountains. Early one morning, Venerable Moggallana came to the Buddha, his eyes filled with tears. The Buddha asked him what was the matter, and Moggallana answered, "Lord, last night during my meditation, my thoughts turned to my mother. I contemplated on my feelings for her. I know when I was young I sometimes caused her sorrow, but that is not the source of my pain. My pain arises from the knowledge that I was unable to help my mother while she was still alive, nor can I help her in death. Lord, my mother's karma is heavy. She committed many crimes during her life, and I am sure that her bad karma follows her and continues to make her suffer. During my meditation, I saw my mother, thin as a ghoul, in a dark, foul place. There was a bowl of rice nearby, and I offered it to her. But when she placed the rice in her mouth, it turned into live coals, and she had to spit it out in pain. Lord, this image will not leave me. I don't know how I can lighten her bad karma and help her to find release. The Buddha asked, what crimes did she commit when she was alive? Moggallana answered, Lord, she did not practice respect for life. Her work required her to kill many creatures. She did not practice right speech. Her words were often sources of suffering to others. She was like someone who rips up living trees and plants dead ones in their place. I dare not recount all her transgressions. It is enough to say that she violated all 5 of the wonderful precepts. Lord, I would endure any suffering to reverse my mother's karma. Please, Lord, in your compassion, tell me what I might do. The Buddha said, Moggallana, I am deeply moved by your love for your mother. The debt of gratitude we owe our parents is as wide as the sky and as deep as the sea. A child should never forget the debt of gratitude day and night. In times when there are no Buddhas or holy persons, parents should serve as Buddhas and holy persons. Moggallana, you did your best to help your mother while she was still living. Your concern continues now that she has died. This shows how deep your love is. I am happy to see that. Moggallana, the most important way to offer tribute to one's parents is by living a life of happiness and virtue. That is the best way to repay our debt of gratitude and to fulfill our parents' aspirations for us. Your life, Moggallana, is such a life. Your life of peace and joy, happiness and virtue serves as a model to others. You have helped many people find the path. Offer your life and good merit on behalf of your mother, and her karma can be transformed. Moggallana, I have a suggestion to help your mother. On Pavarana Day, the last day of the retreat season, ask the entire community to join you in a transformation ceremony for your mother to pray and transfer our merits to her. Many monks in our Sangha possess deep concentration and virtue. Their energy of transformation and their prayers joined with yours will be most powerful. Thanks to that, your mother's bad karma will dissolve, and she will have a chance to enter the path of true Dharma. I am sure there are others in our Sangha with similar situations. We should organize this ceremony on behalf of everyone's parents. Arrange with Sariputta to hold a special transformation ceremony on Pavarana Day on behalf of all parents, those who have died and those who are still living. This will also provide a good occasion to teach young people about the gratitude we owe our parents and ancestors. Moggallana, most people only appreciate their parents after they have already died. Having parents is a great happiness. Parents can be a source of great joy for their children. Children should cherish their parents while they are still alive, truly seeing them and finding ways to make them happy. Whether parents are alive or have passed away, loving actions can bring them happiness and share good merit with them. Helping the poor and infirm, visiting the lonely, freeing prisoners, releasing animals destined for the butcher, planting trees, these are all compassionate actions which can transform the present situation and bring happiness to our parents. On Pavarana Day, we will encourage everyone to perform these kinds of acts. Deeply comforted, Moggallana bowed to the Buddha. That afternoon, after his walking meditation, the Buddha met King Parsanadi at the monastery gates. As they exchanged greetings, 7 ascetics from the Nigantha sect passed by. Ascetics in their sect wore no clothes, practiced austerities, did not shave their beards or cut their hair, and did not cut their nails. The king excused himself from the Buddha and approached the ascetics. He bowed respectfully and said, "Respected monks of high virtue, I am Parsanadi, king of Kosala." He bowed to them 2 more times, repeating the same words, before he returned to the Buddha's side. After they were out of sight, he asked the Buddha, "Lord, according to you, have any of those ascetics yet attained arhatship? Are any of them close to attaining such fruits?" The Buddha answered, "Your Majesty, you live the life of a ruler, and thus are more accustomed to men of government and politics. It is only natural that you would find it difficult to ascertain which monks have attained certain levels of spiritual practice. But in fact, it is difficult for anyone to know whether or not someone is enlightened after merely meeting them once or twice. It is necessary to live close to them, observing them carefully to see how they respond to difficult circumstances, to see how they converse with others, and to understand the depth of their wisdom, virtue, and attainment." The king understood. He said, "Lord, it is similar to when I send spies to investigate situations in other places. They disguise themselves so they will not be recognized. Often when they return to the palace, even I do not recognize them until they have discarded their disguises and washed their faces." Yes, I see you are correct. Unless you know someone in depth, you cannot understand the depth of their virtue, wisdom, and attainment. The Buddha invited the king to walk with him to his hut. When they arrived, the Buddha asked Ananda to put out chairs. The king confided to the Buddha, "Lord, I am now 70 years old. I want to devote more time to spiritual studies. I feel I should do more sitting and walking meditation than I have in the past. But Lord, palace affairs are most time-consuming and demanding. Sometimes when I come to your Dharma talks, I am so tired I cannot keep my eyes open. I feel so ashamed. Lord, I am also guilty of overindulgence in food. One day I came to the monastery after eating entirely too much. It made me sleepy, and I went for a walk in hopes that walking meditation would clear my mind. But I grew more and more sleepy. I did not even notice you were standing on the same path, and I bumped right into you. Do you remember?" The Buddha laughed. "Yes, I remember, Your Majesty. Majesty, simply eat less. Doing so will make your mind and body feel lighter, which will improve your ability to perform both your work of governing and your spiritual practice. You might ask Queen Molika or Princess Vajiri to help you by supervising your daily meals. They could serve you smaller quantities, still paying attention to the quality of nutrition. The king joined his palms to accept the Buddha's suggestion. The Buddha continued, "It is good to devote more time to looking after your health and pursuing your spiritual practice. Not much time remains you in this life. Majesty, suppose a trusted messenger brought you news that a mighty mountain, high as the sky, was approaching from the east, crushing every living thing in its path. Just as you begin to worry about this situation, another trusted messenger brings news that a mighty mountain is advancing from the west, also crushing everything in its path. Then messengers from the north and south arrive bearing similar messages. For mountains are advancing towards the capital, crushing every being in their paths. You know that you cannot escape. There is nothing you can do to prevent the mountains from coming. Your time is short. What would your Majesty do?" The king pondered for a moment and then said, "Lord, I believe there is only one thing I could do. That would be to live my remaining hours in as worthy and serene a way as possible, following the true teaching." The Buddha praised the king. "Yes, your Majesty. Those 4 mountains are the mountains of birth, old age, sickness, and death. Old age and death are closing in on us, and we can never escape." The king joined his palms. "Lord, remembering that old age and death are approaching, I understand that the best thing I can do is to live my remaining days and months according to your teaching, living serenely, mindfully, and benefiting others, including the future generations." The king stood up and bowed to the Buddha before taking his leave. That rainy season, many Brahmins and members of different religious sects gathered in Savatthi. They organized sermons, lectures, and debates throughout the region, inviting people from the city to attend. At the debates, different sects were given a chance to expound their doctrines. Several of the Buddha's lay disciples attended some of these debates. They told the Buddha and the bhikkhus what they had seen and heard. They said that every metaphysical problem imaginable was presented and that every speaker considered his doctrine the only correct one. The debates began cordially, but often ended in angry shouting matches. The Buddha told his disciples the following fable. Once upon a time, a clever king invited several people blind from birth to visit the palace. He brought out an elephant and asked them to touch it and then describe what the elephant was like. The blind man who rubbed its legs said that the elephant was like the pillars of a house. The man who stroked its tail said the elephant was like a feather duster. The person who touched its ears said it was like a winnowing basket, and the man who touched its stomach said it was like a round barrel. The person who rubbed its head said the elephant was like a large earthenware jar, and the person who touched its tusk said the elephant was like a stick. When they sat down to discuss what the elephant was like, no one could agree with anyone else, and a very heated argument arose. Because what you see and hear comprises only a small part of reality. If you take it to be the whole of reality, you will end up having a distorted picture. A person on the path must keep a humble, open heart, acknowledging that his understanding is incomplete. We should devote constant effort to study more deeply in order to make progress on the path. A follower of the way must remain open-minded, understanding that attachment to present views as if they were absolute truth will only prevent us from realizing the truth. Humility and open-mindedness are the two conditions necessary for making progress on the path.